I was ordained at the Jewish Theological Seminary in 1976, and I came to Chicago as the assistant rabbi at Congregation Rodfei Tzedek. The Bernstein family were already in Hyde Park and were members of that congregation. And so for the last 36 years, 12 at Rodfei Tzedek, and then 24 years on the north side of Chicago, I've known Rabbi Bernstein, his entire family, his grandparents, many members of the extended family, had the joy of being at his bar mitzvah. I officiated at his wedding to Ariella, and we have been colleagues ever since I was at his ordination through the Jewish Theological Seminary as well. Rabbi Bernstein has an enormous amount of both compassion and care and a caring soul. And I think the first thing they can look forward to is a person who will listen to them and care about them. The second thing I think they'll learn about Rabbi Bernstein is that he cares a great deal about Judaism and about those values of Judaism, whether it be the environment, whether it be the state of Israel, whether it be issues of justice and equality, and he will try to portray those to so many people. And I think the third aspect they'll learn about him is that he really cares deeply about teaching Torah. Torah in its widest sense of the term. First of all, for our sacred books. Secondly, the actions of living in a just society. And thirdly, of working towards a better world for all. Well, it's difficult to tell what 10 years will bring, because if we predicted 10 years ago what we'd have now, we wouldn't be close with the ages of technology and communication and everything that is happening. So I don't know that I want to be a prophet for 10 years. Okay, in fact, the Talmud tells us that if you do prophecy, you're like a fool. So I've been called a fool. However, let me suggest this, that one of the major challenges is the fact that we live in a secular society. And in that secular society, the Jewish people have done extremely well. But by being involved in the secular society, they've lost a little bit of their uniqueness. In a religious sense, we would call it Kiddusha, a sense of sanctification, a sense of identity, a sense of knowing who they are, what they represent, and what they need to do in the world. And that is both God-centered and people-centered. It's a sense of knowing that there's a little bit of God in each of us, as Rabbi Epstein so beautifully said, and also that we are a people who are supposed to be witnesses to God in this world. And also people-centered, that we've lost a little bit of the identification with the Jewish people. We're really one family. We have one major homeland, the state of Israel. We are to be concerned about our family wherever they may live around the globe. And in this world where we think we have communication because we can instantaneously be in touch with another person, we've lost the ability to really care about another person. And I think that's going to be an immense challenge for the conservative movement, for Judaism in particular, as we look towards the future. All right, that's a great question, because I think that's the real challenge in the long run. You know, in the age of Facebook, everybody thinks they can be connected to one another. But ultimately what you do is you sit in front of your computer and see people or talk to people around the world, but you're not really connected. What the synagogue really does is bring together community. It is not by happenstance that each service has a minyan. We come together in community to console with one another, to rejoice with one another, to pray with one another, to come before our God with one another. And I think one of the roles of the synagogue is to serve as a congregation of all people, to bring people in at whatever capacity they have of both knowledge and observance, of identification with the Jewish people, of bringing in their realms of social justice into one community. And I think what we need to do is foster that community, find people where they're at, bring them in, and then use their talents to strengthen the community, to strengthen the sense of belonging. We are really silos in this world. We all live in our own little particular isolated little capsules. And though we think we're connected, we really are not. We are a global people. People from family live all around the world, and we crave being together with people. The neighborhoods are gone. What used to be a Jewish neighborhood no longer exists. And that used to be the sense of, oh, if I needed a problem, I'd go next door. Somebody else would take care of me. They don't exist any longer. And I think one of the synagogue needs to be that neighborhood, where you know that the person sitting next to you in shul cares about you, where you know that the person who's in another part of your community wants to study with you, and where you know when you need them at a time of need or at a time to rejoice and dance with you, they're going to be there for you. Rabbi Bernstein, or Eddie as I really know you, this has been a wonderful day. It's a day of celebration, a day of commitment and dedication, a day of covenanting for you and Temple Torah with one another. I have been thrilled to have been part of it. It has been a tremendous privilege. My wishes for you is that you shall have a wise heart, a caring soul, and a compassionate mind, that your learning shall continue to grow and you'll share that learning together with your community and your congregation, and that together you will go from strength to strength with Temple Torah. The temple itself is celebrating its 25th year. On the one hand, that's a very short period of time in the annals of history. On the other hand, 25 years is a quarter of a century. It means something. And so I wish the members of Temple Torah continued strength, continued growth, and to recognize that in Jewish life we don't look simply from year to year, and we're not really only concerned about birthdays. We're concerned about eternity. And in that realm you have a long way to go, like all of us do, to make of this a better world, a better community, and ultimately a place where you'll want to raise your children, grandchildren, God willing, great-grandchildren, in a community of love, of caring, of Jewish identity, and a place, I hope, for peaceful coexistence in this country and for the State of Israel.
Well, I've known Rabbi Bernstein for many years. I saw him when he was in USY. I got to know him there. He was active in USY. And then, fortunately for me and for my family, he became the assistant rabbi and then the associate rabbi of my congregation where I have been praying at in New Rochelle, New York, Temple Bethel in New Rochelle, New York. And we developed a long friendship and relationship with him there. And then when he moved on to Cleveland, we consulted a number of times on his congregation, and I tried to do what I could to help facilitate that relationship. I think Temple Torah is in for a wonderful ride. He has a great relationship with young people, with children, and he's going to be able to help bring them into the congregation in a way in which they're going to feel wanted, loved, and engaged. I think he also has a unique way of presenting material to adults, and so that I think that the adults are going to be fascinated by his ability to teach them. He's a great and warm pastor, and I think that he's going to help people find God within themselves, and that will help them blossom and become more enriched individuals and even more committed Jews. Well, I think the major challenge that we're facing is engagement of Jews with Judaism. I think people today are willing to put Judaism on a back burner, and I think the challenge is going to get them not only to identify and come to the synagogue a couple of times a year, but to really let the synagogue infuse their lives with meaning and with a commitment to Judaism. The way to do that is to bring the programs of the synagogue and the services of the synagogue, in the broadest sense of the word of services, outside of the walls of the synagogue. I think that people are found in many different places, whether it's in their business and one brings lunch and learn to offices and to business places, whether it's at Starbucks and meeting with people in Starbucks, whether it's fostering Kabbalat Shabbat services where you don't need a Torah in people's homes, and letting people develop relationships to that which the synagogue stands for outside of the walls of the synagogue. Eddie, I want to offer you my profound best wishes and a mazal tov on this very important time in your life. You are assuming the challenge of being the spiritual leader to congregants who are waiting for your leadership and waiting for your inspiration. And I know that you have the potential of raising their lives to such a high level, and I wish you success in that job.
Well, I think he's a very compassionate, kind, passionate individual about the causes that he cares most about, which is teaching Torah, the state of Israel. He went through a great deal while he was studying there, so it's not just the idea of Israel that he cares about, but the actual nation. He spent time with the people there. He lost a friend there. And also the sense of joy that he brings to this community, and they have that to look forward to in their 25th year. Well, I think that belonging to a synagogue, affiliating with a synagogue, is a definite challenge. Down here in South Florida, most people don't feel that they need to join a synagogue, and they may feel that they have another life somewhere else. But I think that Rabbi Bernstein's sense of humor, sense of joy will bring those people in, because in the end, nobody likes to be alone. I think that's a very challenging question, because there's so many things in our society that pull us away from community, such as social networking and that type of thing, staying at home with your TV set. So I think the sense of this is a place where things are going on, important things like social action, caring about the environment, prayer, dynamic prayer, all of those things I think can call to people's hearts and perhaps bring them in.
I met then Eddie Bernstein for the first time, likely on the first day that I walked into the yeshiva that we were both attending the year before we started rabbinical school. At that time, there were not so many options to prep for JTS, and both of us wanted some exposure to a more traditional mode of Jewish learning. So we met first in the Beit Midrash, or study hall of Yeshivat HaMivtar in Efrat, Israel, I'm sure on the first day. And I think it was nice to find that there were just a couple other folks who were out of a world that we were familiar with, because most of the people there came from backgrounds that we weren't as familiar with. And so Eddie became a friend almost immediately. Well, out of JTS, Eddie stayed in the New York area and went up to Bethel in New Rochelle. That's a synagogue that I knew also, having been a USY advisor up there, also during rabbinical school. Eddie grew up in the movement. He has very, very strong movement ties, and his heart and soul really is connected to conservative Judaism, its mission and its values. And so, Eddie's a product of the movement, he represents both in commitment and observance, and in style and in substance, the very best of what conservative Judaism is. And he's really maintained that very close connection throughout his whole life. He's fortunate, as he noted today, to have the upbringing that he did in connection to wonderful rabbis, a wonderful community, a great foundation of learning. And then, continuing that up to this day in such a meaningful and substantive way is a great thing to witness. Well, I think Temple Torah is really lucky to have Eddie Bernstein as its new spiritual leader. He certainly brings a fresh perspective. He brings a lot of energy. He brings talent and eloquence and scholarship. And most of all, he brings compassion. He's a very compassionate presence. He has a warm and a listening ear to anyone who's willing to share their stories with him. I know he's going to innovate on the programming side. Anyone who's willing to use two hand puppets in his own ordination is certainly willing to cross that traditional boundary between rabbi and the youngest congregants. And so, I have really a great sense of hope and optimism that he'll be great for Temple Torah, great for the Palm Beach County Jewish community, and he'll continue to be what he is, which is really a blessing to all those who have been privileged to know him through the years. Well, locally, the challenge, I think, is to become what I would refer to as an intergenerational community, meaning that most of the Jewish people who are here in either my neck of the woods down in South Palm Beach County or here in the more centralized part of the county, well, most of them are not from here. In fact, almost none of them were born here unless they're younger than 10 or 15 years old. And so we have the challenge of really establishing ourselves as a flagship Jewish community in the entire United States of America. We have every opportunity to do that because kids who are born here are going to absorb the idea that this is an attractive place to come back to. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. Once we establish ourselves as a second and then a third generation Jewish community, we're going to be on par with the New Yorks and the Chicagos and the Clevelands and the Los Angeleses of the United States. The Boca del Rey, Boynton area has the capacity and the possibility of becoming not only a three-generation community, but something that goes 5 and 10 times that. But we have to believe in ourselves enough to establish ourselves in that way, and it's going to take some visionary leadership of the kind that Eddie is capable to make sure that we believe in ourselves enough to invest in ourselves, invest in taking care of the oldest among us, and those who will grow into adulthood in this community. We have the capacity to do it. We just have to have the confidence in our own future that we're going to be able to do just that. Well, I think the synagogue is the center place institution in the Jewish community to bring generations together. I think that the synagogue's core mission is to create a place of vibrancy, but that's also connected and dedicated to maintaining the very best of what Judaism is. We first and foremost have to be an excellent house of worship, as Birkat HaMazon starts in the background. And if we can engage people intergenerationally in meaningful and relevant and also traditional worship experiences, that's going to turn people's souls on to Judaism. It's going to lead them to greater experiences of Jewish learning, the kind of which Eddie is perfectly positioned to provide. In that way, the synagogue will continue to be what it's been for the last 2,000 or so years, which is the center place address of the Jewish community. And I think Temple Torah will be well positioned to do that for this part of Palm Beach County. Eddie, as a classmate and as a friend now for almost 20 years, I'm very, very pleased to be part of today. Very pleased to welcome you and your family as a neighbor just a couple of long blocks to the north. And I certainly wish Temple Torah Mazel Tov on reaching this milestone in its own growth. And may it be another 25 years of terrific growth and success under your competent leadership.
I've had the great pleasure and honor of representing this community first in the State Senate and now in the United States Congress. I've been to many events at Temple Torah before. It's just a pleasure and honor for me to come. It's such a warm and inviting community. I have lots of friends here, and I relish every opportunity to spend time among this great community. I wasn't here at the time, but I would imagine 25 years ago, the founders of the Temple didn't receive overwhelming support when they told people that there needed to be a conservative synagogue in West Boynton Beach. They obviously had a vision that was vitally important, because now this is Boynton Beach for the past number of years has been one of the fastest growing Jewish communities in America, and Temple Torah is a key part of that. Mazel Tov, Rabbi Bernstein. I wish you and your family every success here at Temple Torah, in our community, building the kind of community that exists now, and that you and all of us who work together to strengthen this community can work to ensure will continue to grow and prosper for a long time.
Well, I'd like to congratulate Rabbi Eddie Bernstein on his installation here at Temple Torah, and I'd also like to extend a hearty Mazel Tov to Temple Torah as they go into their 25th year of service here in Boynton Beach. Well, I think that what Temple Torah is doing and having this day of community outreach is really, once again, continuing the message of Dr. King. The thing we have to realize that Dr. King's message was for all Americans. It was not just for the black communities, for every community, and it reached across all of those racial and ethnic lines to make us a better country and to fulfill the dreams that the Founding Fathers had. I think that's really what Dr. King stood for. It was about equal opportunity and the ability to have that level playing field so that everyone can have that equal opportunity to succeed and have whatever greatness they want in this country.